I think some of the challenges we face over the next 3 to 5 years with government oversight and regulation is really a lack of understanding for the complexity of our business. We get lumped in with general contractors or home improvement contractors. And although we perform some of the same activities, it's in an extremely different environment. From the damage that's occurred, understanding the methods and materials of construction, the impact to that, as well as the challenges working with the funding agent, who is the insurance carriers. And I think that has some real challenges as they continue to use third-party administrators to adjudicate the claims and the conflict of interest that is inherent in that relationship. So if I were starting over and I had a $10 million business, restoration business today, one of the things that I would do different is I would self-perform asbestos and biohazard. In the past, I subcontracted asbestos mainly because I was afraid of it, right? Heavy regulation, risk, long-term requirements for record keeping, just all the administrative and legal things that go with that. And I think that a lot of contractors in our industry will subcontract asbestos in particular, thinking that they've washed their hands of it. They've shifted that risk, not really fully understanding that they need to maintain, as that general contractor, all of those same record requirements that the subcontractor had given him to them. And in the past, ignorance in my part, I thought I was covered there. So fortunately, I never got tripped up with that. But with that in mind, if I self-perform it, then I have the margins that are there, which are much better than just, a 10 and 10 type markup. I also have control over the project. And some of the litigation that I've seen in recent years has been because the people that we've subcontracted the work to didn't perform it correctly. We didn't have trained people who were properly overseeing those jobs, and it created a larger risk and liability than if I'd had control over it myself. With the idea of biohazard cleanup, environmental cleanup, it's the same perspective that I feel about that. Again, we're talking about some specialized training. Going back to the other questions about risks to legislation, I think going forward, I think we need some appropriate legislation around biohazard and environmental cleanup that's appropriate to our industry. And I think we need to be involved as an association with making sure that those types of bills that are put forth in the state houses make sense. But again, from a health and safety standpoint and risk management, not only to our people and our clients, but to our businesses, self-performing them in-house where we have control, where we do it correctly, and we realize the appropriate margins for doing that work, I think is a better option than trying to subcontract it. I think it's critical for industry leaders to be involved in a trade association within the industry that they work in, whether it be ours or any others. This particular trade association is the only real voice we have as an industry in the marketplace. And our market has changed drastically in the last 10 years with the consolidation of the industry, the maturing of the industry, as well as what's occurred from the insurance side and the way the insurance industry manages their claims and their risks and our interaction between them. We desperately need a unified voice to represent our concerns for taking care of our shared client, as well as being able to be here, be viable, and do it appropriately, safely, and legally. So the trade association is, I think, more important now than it's ever been. And it's more important now than it's ever been that we have a voice, a unified voice to the marketplace, to the consumer, and to the funding agents for this. In that transition that we've experienced, there has been a lot of bad blood that's been developed. There's a lot of animosity between the folks performing the work and the folks funding the work. That has gotten to a point where it's very, very difficult to do business in some markets. And that is a misunderstanding of goals in some respects. In others, we've earned our bad reputation, quite honestly earned it. And I think we need to turn that around. And I think we need to reestablish a dialogue in a different way, that we're not adversarial here. We're both working together to deliver the promise that they sell and to put people back into a whole place. And that has to be a collaborative effort. So I think as an association, having a voice, a unified voice for the industry, not only in federal and state legislation, and making sure that whatever occurs from a legislative standpoint makes sense and that they fully understand the complexity of our business, but also from a standpoint of working with the insurance industry in general, and making sure that they fully appreciate what it takes to actually do this work, and that we don't become a commodity that is a race to the bottom. That really doesn't serve anyone well. Why other folks should get involved? I think that's pretty obvious in my answer. It's critical for us to have an active role, to work together, to make sure that we can provide a legacy that goes forward in a way that serves all of our clients and stakeholders. There's some other real specific issues that come up when we talk in generalities like that. And I'm going to drill it right down to that tech walking in the door. We're in a marketplace where we're competing against someone who can make $20 an hour at a fast food place and pick and choose the hours that they want to work. And we're going to try and bring that person in and put them in high risk, nasty environments and ask them to be on call 24/7, disrupt their family life, and do some really unpleasant things and in some really difficult environments. And we can't understand why we can't attract and retain people. First, we need to be able to make sure that we can charge an appropriate amount for the services we're asking them to perform so that we can pay them a fair wage for that. But second, one of the things I think we're doing a really bad job at is showing the folks who are new to the industry that there is a true career here, a career path, a professional career path that they can build a life on, that they can create the kind of quality of life for their families that they're looking for. You know, I joke about coming into this industry because I had a couple of kids that wanted to eat regularly and I needed a job, and that's the truth. And I've probably spent 39 of the last 40 years that I've been in this industry figuring out how to get out of this industry, because it's a hard business. It's a rewarding business, but it's not easy. And I can truthfully say that I have not been able to find a better opportunity or a more rewarding opportunity anywhere else. That's just why I'm still here. And so as much as I lament how hard it is and how I'd like to do something else, it's an industry that is incredibly rewarding to those who are willing to seize the day, seize the opportunity, invest in themselves, and create really an unlimited future for themselves. But we don't do a good job of showing that to the folks who are walking in the door. And I think that goes into the next level of where we really need to focus, which is developing leaders, and a really solid program for developing leaders at the grassroots level. That tech who's already been there for a while, we need to be developing leadership and soft skills into them, whether they realize it or not, and carry that right on up so that we organically build the type of professionals that we're looking for.